Our next speaker is Denis Obrezkov, and he is a PhD student at the Universität Bremen in Germany in the field of IT security and human-computer interaction. And his lightning talk will focus on attractive publishers facing a challenge of non-paper-centric science.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. So, as you said, I'm from University of Bremen, and I also work with a deep scientific library. I work in a knowledge representation field, human factors, and IT security. So I want to start from the motivation. Our previous speaker said that there is an intrinsic motivation for doing something in research. And I would add here that research shows that people do research because they have passion for science, curiosity about the world, and not really about money or being a peer reviewer. So, and if it is about curiosity, open access should be enough, right? But I want to introduce my supervisor. He's Rainer Maleka. He wrote around more than 300 papers. And to be honest, but it's a kind of secret, I don't know on what topics he was working. So I don't know what discoveries has he made, and maybe he is a Nobel laureate or Nobel Prize winner. I don't know. There are so much papers, so it's hard for me to grasp the knowledge from there. So even though I have all those papers, it's kind of similar to open access. It is hard for me to grasp the knowledge out of them. Another example is, let's say that there is a Bob. He wants to make a security application, and one day he finds out that people don't do security, and there are few factors affected here. It's about trust, about risk perception, and about laziness. People don't want to go into those permission settings and do permissions. It's too complicated. So the thing is that Bob is a security specialist. He doesn't know anything about those things. But fortunately for Bob, there is a human Alice who does research in trust and usability, and she makes usability experiments. Also, there is Maria who works in cognitive psychology, and she can help Bob with models of risk perception and for dealing with laziness, to explain why people are lazy. So you can see that there is a perfect mapping between them, and they can do big things. They can make usable anything, maybe even Facebook. So it's really great collaboration. But what we have in real world, those are Google profiles from them with a bunch of papers, and there is no way that Bob will know about Alice and will be able to discover the knowledge hidden behind those papers. So it's just not possible. So as you can see, there are some problems in the field. Knowledge is hard to extract, it's hard to find a good collaborator, and the knowledge hidden in this paper, publishers are hidden even deeper. So we don't care much about publishers. And also, during the last few dozens of years, we have code and data sets that are becoming more available than papers themselves. So we are digitalizing, the science is digitalizing, and we need new structures to accompany this process. So what can be done? Right now I'm working in TEEP, and here is the example of maybe it's a first step in the right direction. And you can see that the knowledge from papers is represented in a tabular form and in graph form. And at the same time, I think that you can feel this strange feeling that you don't want to bother and look at those graphs and look at those big tables to understand what is happening there. So probably we need to go deeper. For example, we can represent, of course, we can represent the research of a particular person in a type of a graph, but it's not enough. Probably we should rely on scientific methods of how to do science, how to address needs of all stakeholders. For example, if Bob wants to understand what usability scale to use, we don't need to provide him with all those entities. We need to show only relevant concepts. So, and Alice will be happy, Bob will be happy, Alice will be discovered by Bob, Bob will understand how to deal with these concepts. And we can do this whole thing, knowledge representation, in a, for example, Bitcoin manner, so in a distributed manner, in the form of distributed ledger. And what is way more important, if it is distributed, it's more diverse, and publishers can become maintainers of this new distributed infrastructure. And as you know, maintenance of infrastructure generates more profit than many things. So we can provide publishers with more ethical ways of making money. So this is actually my talk. It's a call, some kind of call for collaboration. We know that there are some problems in TIP, in scientific library. We know how to deal with knowledge, and we also have some understanding what is acceptable for a human, how a human can perceive something. And so we basically want to develop something deep, something that could be integrated into publishers' services. And if you are interested in this and this kind of collaboration, so please write us. And me and director of TIP will discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Denis.